Ladies and gentlemen, Nico Rosberg. Nico, I don't think he needs any introduction at all. Let me introduce myself. I'm Lynda Gratton. I'm the Professor of Management Practice at London Business School. Nico, I mean, I think when people look at your career, they think back to that 6-year-old on a go-kart and wonder how did you, lots of us dream of doing things from the age of 6, but you did it. Tell us, how was the journey?
Good day, everybody. Thanks for coming along. What an exciting experience this has been here at Davos. Phenomenal, really. Of course, for those of you who don't know, my dad became Formula One World Champion as well in 1982. So growing up, I had him as a bit of an inspiration and seeing him race, and that's how the passion grew in me also, because it's just racing is pretty awesome. Of course, driving the cars, the winning, the atmosphere, the noise, everything. It's really an awesome sport. And so then I started off when I was very young, as you do nowadays, as all the other top sportsmen, even in other sports. You have to start very young now. So started off when I was 6, and then racing when I was 10, always with that dream of becoming world champion. And young, it's just a dream because there's nothing realistic about it. And then as it goes on, and with more and more time and more race wins, it becomes really a mission, really, and a goal. That's been the way, and now absolutely unbelievable for me, and very, very special times and unreal experience to finally have gotten there and managed to get that Formula One World Championship, which is it's been so special.
Yeah, if you look at sort of the literature on leadership, there's a debate that says that sometimes people become leaders, as you do, and really strive because they get on so badly with their dad. But you got on so well with your father. You're an only child. People might say he put you under a lot of pressure. What did he do as a father that made you the person you are, but without feeling incredibly pressured?
Yeah, so in that sense, I think there's the two extremes. I think for sure there'll be a lot of great leaders who were very much ignored from their father or parents or whatever. And I think there's the other side. Great achievements have been done by where the parents have been very, very much encouraging, and helping to push along and helping to overcome those lazy adolescent years and all that, So and in our sport, there's actually a lot of examples of that, where really the parents have been extremely encouraging.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But of course, yours is a sport that has so many setbacks, and certainly if you read the press about you, the whole battle with Hamilton has been a really important part of the last couple of years. Do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, so...
He did agree beforehand to talk about this, by the way.
Oh, yeah. My teammate wasn't the easiest of teammates to have. He drives his car rather well. And it's a quite unique situation that we're both in the same car. Normally it's drivers from different teams fighting each other for the championship. And it rarely happens in our sport. The last time was like 20 years ago, that it's 2 drivers from the same car, same team. And that adds a whole other level of complexity to it, because you're employees of Mercedes, and you're there to do a good job for Mercedes, So you're going together, but at the same time, there's the egotistic side where you need to think about yourself because you want to beat the other guy. And so it's a very, very fine line. The occasional time we got it slightly wrong. We went a bit over the edge, one could say, where we've had crashes or taken each other out or everything, and those are some serious difficult moments afterwards internally to manage that. So a quick insight into that one then. I think our leadership did a great job in that, because one of the most important things, if you have beneath you, you have battle within your company between employees or things like that. It's, as a leader, I think, to not take a side, and to remain completely neutral. Mm-hmm. Because as soon as you start to go on one side, then it can just intensify and go out of control. So really remaining neutral, and they managed to do that really well. And
how did you manage the sort of interpersonal potential frictions between you as people?
I mean, for us, I think the benefit was that we've been racing each other since we're 13 years old. And back in the day, for Mercedes-Benz, when we were 13 years old. Yeah. And we were best friends at the time. because it was just much more simple. It was just racing these karts. Now in F1, there's the media, the whole world watching, 1,400 team colleagues who are building these 2 race cars for us. 1,400 people for 2 race cars. It's just incredible, the size of these race teams. And it just adds so much complexity to it. So it just becomes very, very difficult to be friends in that environment, as you all know from business or whatever other environment as well. In that intensity, it's difficult, not impossible, but very, very difficult. How did we manage? Oh yeah, and so there was this base respect that remained, I think, because of this friendship that we had in our youth, and that sort of carried us through the difficult times.
Yeah. I talked to Sebastian Vettel this time last year here, and one of the things he said, and I just wanted to ask your opinion, is that, when you fail in an F1 race, it's not you that fails, it's the 1,000 people who have prepared your car as well. And I wondered, how do you deal with the fact that, although it's you personally, there's a whole team behind you, and how do they feel when you didn't win the race? And how do you interact with them as a consequence of that?
Fortunately, I don't think about the 1,400 people too much, because that would seriously become problematic. So all I think about is our small little racing family at the racetrack, because we only travel with, we travel with like 60, 70 people, and we share the defeat, amongst us. But yeah, defeat is it's tough, of course, in sport. Not as tough as in a private life, obviously, but even in sport, it is challenging, and especially along my way. I mean, there's been some big downs in relative terms, where with accompanied by a lot of suffering as well in those moments. Then, and it's for example now that with Lewis that we've been racing for the championship for 3 years, and the first 2 years he beat me in especially. Difficult circumstances, because like in the last race or something, and you never know in our sport if you're going to get another opportunity, because you depend on your car. So it doesn't matter how good you are, you need to have a good car to be able to win, otherwise there's no chance. So you never know, are you going to have that great car again the following year? So that was very, very tough moments, but I can say that I managed to turn the difficult, tough moments and even the suffering and those losses into a positive, and keep fighting, and I reaped motivation from that I didn't even know I had. It really gave me this extra drive, which was great, and that's actually why now I managed to win. And in the end, it's one of the main reasons for sure. That's helped me get that win in the very end.
And how, everybody in this room has suffered failure of one form or another. And as you said, one of the things that's been part of your success is your ability to deal with failure. Could you tell us a bit more about how you do that?
It's a little bit in the direction of accepting that failure and setbacks are for sure, they're even gifts in a certain way for all of us, because if we didn't have them, we would just stay ourselves for the rest of our lives. We wouldn't improve. We wouldn't strive for getting better, for avoiding that suffering in the future. So it's really understanding that difficult times, losses, failures, mistakes are not always bad things, and actually they can really set you off and help you personally develop and become even better.
Can we talk now about the Formula One race itself? And I know many of us here would be really fascinated to hear, how do you prepare for that? What goes into the preparation for a race?
Yeah, it's a lot of preparation for sure that goes into a race. And this year some of the things that I applied was, because it's so mentally intense, racing, it's unbelievable, the intensity. It's difficult to express, really. So for me this year, I did a few things. For example, really, I've more and more learned how my private life had such an influence on my racing performance as well. It's so interlinked, and I'm sure it's in the business world as well, the same way. So I really came to a point where I learned with experience to more and more just simplify my private life, organize it in a way that it took the least possible energy from me. With my family, with employing some great people who are really able to help me out with all my private issues and whatever else is going on, and even with supporting me in the racetrack, and so I could just 100% focus on the job of racing and a complete commitment, and that just gave me that 5% more clarity and energy when I was in the race car, and it really made a difference, and I don't know how my teammate does it, because he's on the opposite side of that. He goes a bit all over the shop in his private life, flying left, right, and centre.
We read quite a lot about
and
that.
this event and that event. So I've a huge respect. Don't know how you do it. But I needed to go the other way for sure. That was my way of getting the best out of me. And yeah, so that's something that's worked really well, definitely.
Yeah, and when we were speaking earlier, you talked about the importance of sort of rehearsal and of prep. I mean, just how do you rehearse for something that's only going to take 1.5 hours, and use every single ounce of energy you've got? What is it that you do to rehearse for that?
Well, you can't really rehearse. It's difficult to rehearse in that sense, because we can't actually drive the car. It's forbidden to test, for saving money. And so you just got to prepare in the best possible way, prepare yourself so that you're able to deliver in those moments. And one of the avenues I went under was, I think I'm one of the first also in the sport to have taken the help of a mental trainer as well, and really been working very, very closely and intensely this year to try and extract the maximum, and that even went into things like meditation, which is a big word, and it's often misinterpreted. The way I did it was more a concentration practice and learning to control your mind a little bit, which you really do with spending a bit of time at it, and also learning to be more aware of your emotions, your thoughts, because if you are aware of them, you can slow them down and move your mind into other things, into more positive thoughts. And that really definitely was one of the ingredients to me being even stronger this year. It really was beneficial.
When you're racing, are you capable? Do you slow your mind down? Is that what you're doing?
So I wish I could say yes, but especially in those last laps in Abu Dhabi, where I was driving for the championship, and it was the absolute heat of the moment, and in my mind I'd lost the championship at least 2 times in those last 4 laps. I can't say it helped at all, because I was just absolute adrenaline, red mist. It was intense, unbelievable intensity. So nope, I wasn't able to. But who knows? Maybe yes. Maybe the intensity would have been even extremer if I wouldn't have done all that preparation and all that work. Because we do know scientifically that meditation and sitting down and taking the time to learn to concentrate and focus, and we know that it scientifically reduces the extent of all your emotions and the strength in which they appear. So maybe. It did make that little bit of a difference and stopped me from making that tiny mistake, which would have been the difference between winning the championship and losing it. Who knows?
Sebastian talked about sleeping. He sleeps a lot apparently before.
Yeah.
Do you sleep?
Well,
what's your sleep pattern?
That's another. Actually, we didn't speak about this at all yet, but it's another small ingredient where we had a jet lag doctor. Where I'm sure you all suffer a lot with jet lag as well, and I used to hate it. It's so difficult, to fall asleep and things. And so we had a jet lag doctor and really applied that as well. And this has been one of the biggest revolutions for me in my life, especially in racing. To learn how to manage that, and the key really is to, which takes a lot of discipline. Yeah. And I'm not sure it's in our sport where you need 100% concentration and 100% at all times. It's not so difficult to take the discipline to try and reduce your jet lag. For me, it wasn't anyways. So what I do is do 1.5 hours of time change per day when I'm still at home. Yeah. So 1.5 hours getting up earlier every day until I would get up at 1 o'clock in the morning on the last day, then leave and make sure the flight is also in an adequate sequence of all that. And then when I get there, not straight into the new time zone either. Again, 1.5 hours maximum every day, and wearing dark sunglasses in the right moment so that your body thinks it's dark and all these things, So and that's been a revelation for me.
Is anyone else doing that? Does anyone else have jet lag practices like that?
No jet lag doctors.
No, there's no. Okay, so one person. Okay.
This person was actually from Harvard, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Okay, well, we have some Harvard people here, so maybe they'll know.
No, but of course, he's not a jet lag doctor. That's me exaggerating. Yeah. He's a physician, doctor, whatever. But he has explored that avenue, and he's given us advice in that area, which is very useful.
The future.
Yes.
So one of the extraordinary things, and when we were speaking, when Nico and I were talking earlier, I said, one of the issues really with leaders is that they don't want to let go. They get to the top. And then they stay on, and then they stay on, and they stay on, and whoa, they're still there. But you got to the top and then you just walked straight away, even though you had you'd signed an amazing deal.
Yeah,
a
but
multi-million-pound deal, and you just walked away from it.
Yeah, don't say that too loud, please. I might get some doubts. No.
It's only money.
No, yeah, but there's no right or wrong. Everybody needs to find his way and figure out what's best for them. And for me, the feeling started to come up that wow, it would be perfect from my point of view to stop if I've achieved my mission, in racing and my dream of winning the championship. To end it there, and walk out at the absolute peak, at the best that I can do in this life in racing. I think that was it, and to say, okay, it's been awesome, fantastic years, and now close that chapter. Take the memory of the last race being my best race and the last championship being my best championship. Take that into the next chapter in life. And anyways, just alone being here in Davos, my God, what life has to offer and the opportunities there are, as you all have seen.
We have a marvelous time here, that's for sure.
As you all have seen in the last days, it's insane. And I'm super. I feel very much fulfilled also in terms of my career. I can look back and say I've ticked all the boxes of what I wanted to achieve. And now very, very excited about the next steps, which, there's so many opportunities, and I'm going to keep pushing, of course. I need my adrenaline rush, and I still want to make a difference in different areas. And let's see what the future holds and which directions I'll be taking. And
when you speak like that about it, Nico, you make it sound so simple, don't you?
But it's not.
You get to the very top. We have one of my friends who's a psychiatrist doing that. You get to the top, and then you say, "Okay, I've done it all. Let me walk away." But there's very few people, I think, around Davos who have been able to do that. So I'm going to ask you a bit more about that.
Okay.
What was it? Because usually if you think about personal change, people change not because they're running away from something, but because they're running towards something. And I wondered, what is it that you're running towards? What is it that you see? I know it's not a concrete thing yet, but what is the sort of vision that you're moving towards at this stage in your life?
So, first of all, it takes... To do sport at the highest level, it's really 110% focus that's required, and there's no room for any compromise whatsoever. At least that's the way that I went about it. So everything else is secondary, and far behind. So that's even family. I have a 1.5-year-old daughter now. It's friends. It's any other fun, exciting projects or whatever, and everything is way behind. And so there's a time for everything, and life has more. I find life has more to offer than driving around in circles, and it just felt like the right moment, and I want to go for new challenges. That's it. And of course, there's the side as well of having more time now for my family, which is going to be wonderful. Having more time for friends and being in control of my own life as well now. For the last 21 years of racing, even starting as a 10-year-old, it's the whole season is planned by other people. They're telling you where you need to be all the time, and especially then in F1. It's really, really intense. Yeah, the traveling, the working days, the this, the that. It's just planned through all the way through. And now, all of a sudden, it's freedom. I can decide. Do I want to be here today on the stage with you? Yeah, I want to be here. So I'm here.
We want you to be here, Nico.
So I'm here. And where do I want to be tomorrow? With my family? Okay, good.
Yeah.
And so it's just complete freedom.
Wonderful, 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 wonderful. When you and I spoke earlier, you talked a little bit about philosophy, and you said that's been, again, sorry, I don't want to make it sound too simple, but you've made it sound so simple, but we know that most people can't make that transition. Most people can't let go of the things that make them most successful. And many people, including myself and maybe some of you, also in becoming success, let go of things which they then can't find again. And yet somehow, and I know your dad plays a huge role in that, somehow you've just kept a real sense of yourself, even though you're doing what must be one of the most difficult jobs around, really, in that 1.5 hours when you're going around the circle, as you call it. How have you done that? And philosophy, how has that played any role in your life?
Yeah, for sure. It's I think it's the same for actors, for singers, for everybody, even politicians, for people who are extremely.
Black Eyed Peas.
Sorry, Black Eyed Peas.
You miss them.
I know. I can't believe it. Next year, he comes every year.
Every year.
I'm back next year.
He's there every year. Yeah.
And I think it's a challenge because you get put up on this pedestal, you know, by so many people around the world when you're doing good things in your environment, and it can sometimes be a bit difficult to cope with that, of course. And I think that's why we see so many, especially singers and actors, really losing the plot and going a bit off the rails. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I think every person has to go about it in his own way, and I have also struggled with that at times, definitely, but managed to find my way with it. And for sure, for me, I've studied philosophy now for 10 years, and that's been a huge benefit because every little issue or suffering that you have or doubt, there's been someone in the past who's had exactly the same thing. And those people, and there's been a genius in the past who's had exactly that same thing, who's been able to write it down and explain it to you in a way that it's really easily understandable. So you learn to understand, why am I jealous? Why am I now angry? Why do I have fear? Why am I scared? Why am I nervous? And you really learn to understand all of that. And you can't switch off all those emotions. That's not possible. But you can change the way you act once you get them. You know, because if you understand why you have it, you can change your reaction and your action afterwards, and that can have a huge snowball effect, of course, in your life. And so I can only advise to take a look into that for those who haven't yet. Into that world, it can really help.
Yeah. 5 years' time. You love Davos. You'll come back again.
It's spectacular.
We'd be so pleased to have you
But
back.
I'm going skiing next year as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Definitely.
Today is the skiing day.
There's not a single person out there.
I know.
This is the place
Everybody's
to do it, for
here.
sure. Definitely.
But actually, with your...
Can I just tag on to that one? It's 11 years that I haven't been skiing.
Wow.
Because it's in my contract in the racing. You're not allowed to ski. You're not allowed to motocross. You're not allowed to ski. So this is now...
But I didn't tell Nico the Sebastian Vettel...
Don't go skiing. Why not?
Yeah.
Wear 2 helmets.
Yeah. But I didn't tell Nico, but you'll love this story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was up with Sebastian Vettel on the place up in the mountain. Some of you were there last year. And at the end, he turned to his friends who were also F1 champions, and he said, "Let's toboggan down."
I have heard that.
And did you hear that?
And
we all went, "Oh my God!"
It's the story, one of those legendary Davos stories. It's become.
Yeah,
Yes.
I saw them take off, and then we came down in the lift, and they were, of course, there. And the first question they asked when they came down,
who won?
They knew who had won. The first question was, how fast?
Okay.
What time? How many minutes?
Of course.
So you're back here 5 years' time. You are an incredibly intelligent person. Anything you'll read about Nico will tell you he is really, really smart, speaks endless languages, reads philosophy, could do many, many things. The world, as you probably have noticed, has got a great deal of challenges at the moment, big challenges. You're back here. I'm interviewing you in 5 years' time. What is it what will we be talking about?
Oh, geez, that's a big one now. I haven't been ready for that one. Anyways, no, of course, one of the avenues I want to go down is give something back, you know, in some way or other, something that touches my heart. And now I have the time, so I'm really going to go exploring, go down different avenues.
Any early thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to go to Germany, and I'm going to visit children who are quite ill, I think, and because, and especially the children of the age where they'll be really happy to see me, and where I can.
Child will be happy
no,
to
no,
see
but
you.
if they're too young, then they don't really know. So it's
Yeah.
going to be. I would like to go and visit the age where they really, where I can, give them a great time. And so that's the first avenue.
You're going to focus. UNICEF will be so pleased to hear this. You're going to focus on children. That's what you think.
I don't know yet.
But that might be
exploring.
one thing. And what else might it be? What else might you do?
Renewable energies is something that could be quite interesting.
You were saying earlier you're going to start investing in things.
Yeah, for sure. That's as I said, there's so many opportunities, so many possibilities. Of course, electrical cars as well. For example. My taxi the other day was a Tesla. You know, my taxi. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Here in Switzerland. So quite impressive that we've come that far already.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
We've only got 4 minutes left, and I wanted just to ask you. One of the things you were talking about earlier is what can you help leaders who are sitting around here and sitting around Davos and watching us on the screen right now? what would be the 2 or 3 things that you've learnt that you think an F1 driver can tell the world in terms of how we manage complex situations, the sort of situations you found yourself in?
Oof, that's another one. Yeah, I mean, just some. We have a really impressive leader now in our team, or in Mercedes, which has been we've broken a lot of the records that have been for 75 years in our sport. We have now broken most of them in the last 3 years. So it's really been an unbelievable run and an unbelievable performance. And some of the things. So yeah, definitely picked up a few things along the way. And
what did you see them doing as a leader that helped you?
First of all, it's the way of leadership, which I think the modern best way is not dictatorship, which has worked in the past as well. It's more empowering your employees that are below you, and really giving them responsibility and letting them make the mistakes, and not always trying to micromanage and trying to avoid any sort of mistakes and really let them unfold themselves. And that's the way that our team has worked, and it gives a great atmosphere also within the company, because all the individuals feel much more of a sense of purpose then as well. And so that has been quite inspiring to see.
Number two.
What's your again, I haven't prepared for these, but
know.
I'll do my best.
These ones
I'll do my best of what I've learned from our. Another one would be maybe a compassionate approach, because often we think that we're the only ones struggling, we're the only ones of being scared of not doing a good job or making mistakes, but actually we all have that. We're all human. We all have exactly the same problems and difficulties. And so maybe an element of compassion in there, and how much do we love receiving compliments, and how difficult sometimes is it, and how much do we forget sometimes to give compliments, and so we really in the team you could see how this it rose up the level and the positivity by just giving that extra 1-2 compliments per day, and it can make a massive difference. And it's such an easy thing for you to do if you just think about it a little bit. And I think that's also really raised the atmosphere.
I wanted just to finish off by talking about families, because what comes out really clearly, speaking to you, Nico, is the role that your father played. And many of us around the room here are mothers or fathers. And I just wanted to ask you, what has he done for you that has made you this extraordinary person? And what does it mean for your parenting now that you have your daughter?
Yeah, so for sure, I have to mention both my parents in equal terms, definitely, because in very different ways. My mom, just unconditional love, so it didn't really matter what I was doing, if I was sitting there on the couch or not, or if I was determined at something, didn't matter, just unconditional love, which I'm very, very thankful for, and which for sure has given me so much for my life. And then my dad, more of the expecting me to do something in life, and to push and to succeed, whether it's school or racing, and so both equally. I'm very thankful to my dad as well, because I'm sitting here now because of the drive that he instilled in me in a way, and but at the same time as giving me that drive and also showing me his expectations of me. He managed to do a really good thing, that once I got to the highest level of sport, which was F1, he managed to do very well the most difficult thing for us parents, which I'm already seeing myself now on my 1.5-year-old daughter. It's a thing of letting go completely. And I for sure think that's the right way of parenting, to accompany your child into the life, but then when the moment is right, completely let go and let them make their mistakes and let them get on with it. And my dad, after discussions with him, it's something we actually discussed, and after discussing, we came to the conclusion that that's probably the best way to do it. And so he really stepped back completely and let me get on with it with the team that I had around me in F1, and that was a great feeling. And I'm sure that's also another reason why I'm sitting here today and I managed to get that championship in the end.
And so presumably one of these days we're going to see your daughter be an F1 champion and following the path of Susie Wolff.
I don't even know if I'm going to let her ride a scooter yet. That's still for debate.
So you're already not doing what your dad did. I thought she could follow Susie Wolff and be another F1 driver.
At the same time, though, I have to say I will try very, very strongly not to stop her from following her dreams, So because I also believe that, it should be up to them to decide their road, and you shouldn't be, as a parent, stopping them just because you're scared yourself,
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, Nico Rosberg.
Thank you for coming.